Morning comes. You wake up. Your first thought is not a thought, exactly. It's more of a damp fog of regret wearing pajamas. You reach for your phone, because apparently the best way to begin consciousness is to immediately expose your nervous system to war, breakfast recipes, people younger than you buying houses, and a man explaining why your sleep posture is destroying your spine. Lovely. You scroll, you see a video. Most people don't actually understand how everyday objects work. You scoff. Of course they do. You are people. You use objects. You are, in a broad legal sense, an adult. You understand things. For example, a toilet. You've used a toilet thousands of times, confidently, heroically, sometimes under pressure, so naturally, you understand toilets. But then someone asks, okay, explain exactly how a toilet works. And something strange happens. Your brain, which 5 seconds ago was acting like a tenured professor of porcelain engineering, suddenly becomes a raccoon in a library. Well, you begin, the water goes somewhere. And then there's a swoosh. And then the badness leaves. And there's a little tank goblin that refills it, I think. Excellent. Centuries of civilization, the Roman aqueducts, modern sanitation. And your explanation is, the badness leaves. Fine. Let's try something simpler. A zipper. How does a zipper work? Well, there are teeth, and the little thing goes up. And then the teeth become friends. Beautiful. Textiles solved. One more. A bicycle. You know what a bicycle is. But explain why a bicycle stays upright. Suddenly, the brain begins quietly unplugging important cables. Balance, you say. Yes, thank you, Aristotle. And this is the problem. We are surrounded by things we recognize, use, name, buy, break, and occasionally pretend to understand. But recognition is not understanding. Familiarity is not understanding. Being able to use something is not the same as knowing how it works. And today, we're talking about one of the strangest little bugs in the human mind, the illusion of understanding, or, in its more scientific outfit, the illusion of explanatory depth. The idea is simple. People believe they understand complex things far more deeply than they actually do, and the illusion breaks the moment they're asked to explain those things step by step. Not define them, not recognize them, not nod wisely when someone else explains them. Actually explain them from the inside. No help, no Google, no AI. Just you, your brain, and the horrifying little sentence. How does that work? This was famously studied in the early 2000s. Researchers asked people how well they understood ordinary things. Toilets, zippers, speedometers, locks. People gave themselves pretty high ratings. A zipper is not the sorrow of the universe compressed into metal teeth. But then the researchers asked them to explain, in detail, how those objects actually worked. And after trying, people lowered their own ratings, a lot, because the act of explaining exposed the gap. Before explaining, they had a feeling of knowledge. After explaining, they had a visible hole where the knowledge was supposed to be. And that hole is the interesting part, because it's not just about toilets, it's about how the human brain confuses access with possession. If information is near us, we feel like we know it. If we've heard the explanation before, we feel like we understand it. If the answer is one search away, we feel as if the answer is already somehow inside us, which is convenient, and also mildly terrifying, because most of modern life is built on systems no single person fully understands. You tap a card on a machine and money teleports. You press a button and food arrives from a stranger on a scooter. You speak into a rectangle and it tells you the capital of Mongolia and why your left knee hurts when you think about taxes. We live inside a giant humming machine made of machines inside machines, and most of us understand almost none of it, which is not an insult. It's civilization. Civilization is basically the art of not having to understand everything. You don't need to understand electrical engineering to turn on a light, thank God. If every human had to personally understand every system they used, breakfast would take 18 years. The problem isn't that we rely on other people's knowledge. That's normal. The problem begins when we mistake the shared knowledge around us for knowledge inside us. There's a difference between humanity understands this and I understand this. The first is often true, the second is often wearing a fake mustache. And once you notice this, it appears everywhere. Take politics. A person says with volcanic certainty, this policy is obviously terrible. Fine, maybe it is. But ask them to explain exactly how it works. Who pays? Who benefits? What changes first? What happens if everyone responds differently than expected? Suddenly, the certainty gets a little sweaty. The brain gently places a smoke bomb on the floor and escapes through a window. This doesn't mean ordinary people should shut up about complicated things. The opposite. It means complicated things deserve humility, because the illusion of understanding makes certainty feel cheap, and cheap certainty is extremely addictive. It feels good to understand. It feels safe. The world is less frightening when it can be folded into a simple sentence. The problem is that reality has a nasty habit of being less like a simple sentence and more like an octopus trying to assemble IKEA furniture during an earthquake. And we do this with ourselves too. We say, I'm just not a morning person. I'm bad at relationships. I'm lazy. Or are you anxious, overstimulated, underrested, afraid to begin, or trapped in a loop of self-protection that just looks like laziness from the outside? We love explanations, especially short ones. But a short explanation can become a little cage. It can stop curiosity. It can make us think the case is closed. And the strangest thing about the illusion of understanding is that it feels exactly like understanding. There's no warning light in the brain. You simply feel like you know until explanation begins, and then the flaw disappears. This is why teaching is so brutal, not because students are difficult, although some of you are absolutely feral. Teaching is brutal because it exposes the difference between having an idea in your head and being able to rebuild that idea in someone else's. A thought can feel clear when it's alone, like a fish in deep water, but the moment you drag it into language, it flops around on the table, making deeply embarrassing noises. And this is where AI enters the room, wearing a very nice suit and holding a flamethrower. Because AI can explain almost anything instantly, which is incredible and useful, and also dangerous in a very quiet way. Because now the illusion of understanding has a personal assistant. Before, if you didn't understand something, you had to sit with that discomfort. You had to struggle. You had to form a bad explanation and slowly make it less bad. That struggle wasn't wasted time. That struggle was the mind building the thing. But now, when the discomfort appears, we can erase it instantly. Explain quantum computing. Summarize this book. Give me the answer. And the answer arrives. Clean, confident, polished, possibly correct, possibly a hallucination in a tie. But either way, it feels like relief. And relief can be mistaken for learning. You read the explanation and think, yes, I understand. But do you? Or did the explanation simply pass through your eyes while your brain sat in the corner eating crisps? This isn't an anti-AI sermon. AI can be a fantastic teacher. It can question you, simplify, test you, help you see your gaps, but only if you use it as a gym, not as a forklift. The question is not, can AI explain this to me? The better question is, can I explain it back without AI? Because that's where the illusion breaks. And maybe that should be the new test of knowledge in the age of infinite information. Not, have you seen the answer? Can you repeat the answer? But can you explain the thing when the machine is not holding your hand? Because the illusion of understanding doesn't only make us bad students, it makes us fragile thinkers. People who feel informed because we're surrounded by information. People who feel wise because we consume explanations. Trauma, capitalism, dopamine, narcissism, algorithm, inflation. We learn the labels and mistake them for the machinery. But a label is not an explanation. Calling something dopamine is not understanding it. Calling someone toxic is not understanding them. Words can open doors, but sometimes we wear them as costumes and never enter the room. So here's a cruel little experiment. Pick something ordinary, a fridge, a lock, a thunderstorm, the voting system. Now explain how it works, from beginning to end, not poetically, mechanically, step by step. And when you get stuck, don't panic. That stuckness is not failure. That stuckness is the first honest moment. It's the little crack where real learning can begin. Because ignorance is not the enemy of understanding. Fake understanding is. Ignorance can ask questions. Fake understanding is too proud to ask. Ignorance says, I don't know. Fake understanding says obviously, and obviously might be one of the most dangerous words in the human language. Because the less we understand something, the more tempting it becomes to explain it with villains. If a system is too complex, find a bad person. If a problem is too tangled, find a stupid group. This isn't because humans are evil. It's because uncertainty is uncomfortable, and certainty is warm. Certainty is a little fire in a cold room. But sometimes the fire burns the house down. So perhaps wisdom begins with a stranger kind of confidence. Not the confidence of knowing everything, the confidence to say, "I don't understand this yet." That sentence looks small, but it's enormous. It's the beginning of science, the beginning of philosophy, the beginning of not being insufferable at dinner. Maybe the most intelligent people aren't the ones with the fastest answers. Maybe they're the ones who can feel the illusion forming and pause, who notice the warm glow of fake clarity and say, "Hold on, can I actually explain this?" Because understanding is not a feeling. Understanding is a structure. It has beams. It has weight. It can survive pressure. And if it collapses the moment someone asks one careful question, then maybe it was never a house. Maybe it was scenery, a painted door on a theatre stage, convincing from a distance, flat from the side, and none of us gets out of this clean. Every human is walking around with little cardboard houses in their head. Things we half understand, things we understand just enough to be annoying about. That's fine. The goal isn't to become omniscient. The goal is to become less easily fooled by the feeling of knowing, because the modern world will offer you that feeling constantly. Every headline, every thread, every AI answer, all of them whispering, "Here, now you understand." But maybe real understanding has a quieter voice. It says, "Explain it, and if you can't, good. Now you've found the edge." And the edge is where learning begins. So the next time something feels obvious, explain it out loud. Explain why you believe what you believe, without hiding behind the label. And when your confidence starts to evaporate, don't run from that feeling. That's not stupidity. That's the illusion breaking. And if you stay there long enough, in that slightly embarrassing silence between what you thought you knew and what you can actually explain, something rare might happen. You might begin to understand. Till then, be suspicious of easy certainty. Be gentle with your own ignorance. And for the love of all indoor plumbing, maybe learn how a toilet works. Because one day someone will ask, and the badness leaves will not be enough. Thanks for watching.